What is up, Bat family? Welcome to a brand new The Batman video. Today, we've got quite an interesting video, and that is because we're looking at some concept art behind that of the Batman, to the point of where it features stuff that isn't even in this book. The art of the Batman. Things just like Barry Keoghan's Joker, Arkham Asylum concept art, to a bunch of other things. So I'm really excited to just kind of, chill out, have a discussion about this. I do recommend grabbing a drink and just chilling with me, because we're just going to go for it, because we are looking at James Chinlan's portfolio website, if you will. He was the production designer for the Batman. He's a production designer as profession, and he's attached a ton of things on there, which it just, we can talk about forever. But I wanted this to be a bit of just a little breakdown video, a little bit of a sit down, Batman nerd out, things like looking at Barry Keoghan's Joker within Arkham drawn in the concept stage is just so cool to see, as a huge fan of what Matt Reeves and James Chinlan have brought to life with this movie. And again, it fascinates me that a lot of what we're looking at today wasn't even in here. I mean, some of it was, but there definitely wasn't a picture of the Joker in this. But whilst I'm bringing this up, this Art of the Batman book, do let me know down in the comments below if you would like to see a little mini series of videos going over what we learned in this book. I can't exactly copy and paste all the pages, because that's the point of buying this book, obviously, but I can still make quite a bit of a information breakdown. So let me know down in the comments below if you want to see that, because obviously we do bonus content here on the Batman universe. But today, James Chinlan has a production design website. It's his portfolio. A lot of artists have this, so I'll leave a link to it so you can see a lot of these images for yourself. I'll also plug his Instagram so you can follow him there, but he's got it all publicly to see here. So I thought today, I know I've been dragging on this intro for a bit, but we can just have a good time and check it out, because my god, do I appreciate things like this book, and just seeing the mood that inspired and kind of, if you will, gave birth to what we saw on the frickin' silver screen. Let's dive into this. Give the video a like, would really appreciate that. Okay, so Mini-Me is here now. I'll probably be staying down in the bottom corner so you guys can get a look at the site. So as you can see here, James Chinlan production design. If you go to his website, jameschinlan.com, you'll go to the features. Batman will be there. Just click on that and it'll bring you to this page, and it'll show you, I believe, his, all of his portfolio for that of what he worked on for that of the Batman. Now, I believe it is in mostly chronological order. As you can see here, we start with the very opening shot of the film, where we see the mayor's family, the mayor's son, prank kind of stab him at the beginning of the movie. And this is just already grabbing my attention. The mood of Gotham. My god, are we going to see a lot of that in this breakdown of these images, if you will, that James Chinlan has put on his portfolio. I just love, I think this is probably my favorite mood of Gotham that's been brought on screen. Again, here, I'm guessing this is the same window that was the Riddler was looking at, but now we get a little bit more of an aerial view into that area there. Now, the next image, you can see quite a bit of the stage and set design. Obviously, because of COVID as well, and obviously a lot of movies do this as well, they use that panel technology, which is absolutely incredible. If you have HBO Max, look at the bonus extras section, and you can see how they utilize that technology to just absolutely plaster a whole background, onto the screen, the LED kind of panels, and they can control the weather, how long the sunrise stays there. It can rise for like 7 hours if you want it to, if you want to keep doing the takes over again. But of course, at the same time, they do build sets as well. So here we get some more shots of the mayor at the beginning of the movie. Some more interior, obviously some of these photos, just as we'll get to later as well with Selina's apartment, it's kind of just like mapping it out, so to speak. We get some really cool interior shots of just kind of angles that you might not always necessarily see in the film, or even if you did get glimpses of those angles, the lighting might not be as vivid as it is here. Obviously, we get Paul Dano's Riddler there, absolutely fantastic. Some more shots of where the mayor was murdered. I believe, yep, that's where Riddler put him into one of these seats here as well. Now, this photo here is probably a mock-up of the... Yes. It's still the mayor's room. So if we go back to that image, I believe that is a boy. I don't think... Yeah, that's a boy. So I think, obviously, this is when they possibly hadn't even shot the scene, and they were doing the thing with contemplating how they're going to have Batman look at the mayor's son just as something in the way comes on. One of my favorite shots and scenes in the whole movie. There's something so profound about that moment. I can feel it's giving me chills right now because it's such obvious cliche Batman. Hey, look, boy lost his father. Granted, the mother's still probably alive, but still, you know what I'm getting at. Bruce just looking at that kid to the point, I think I'm going to do a video on my favorite scene, but it's largely this beginning portion of the film that extends back to the Batcave when Bruce goes to get a shower and Alfred is looking at the eye lenses recording, and you hear Jim once again saying, come on, man, you really gotta go. And like you see Alfred just stare at Bruce staring at the mayor's kid, feeling and reliving his own trauma of losing his own parents, and Alfred just go down like that is such a remarkable, the way it, you know, with Kurt Cobain coming on, I could gush and gush and gush over that. And again, probably going to do a separate video on how much I love that scene. But I'm just, you know, I could be wrong with this, but I'm thinking this could be like obviously the modeling of, hey, how are we going to do this? Is the mayor's son going to be looking out at the window? We're going to have Batman stare and reminisce about his own family, his parents, from this angle, but it ended up being in the bedroom with the kid sat on his bed. I don't know, but it's just something to ponder there. Just thought that'd be interesting. Obviously, we have Pete Savage addressing the Gotham press there, you know, announcing the mayor's death. You can see the kid's mother here, which is why, just side note, I know a lot of people saying, what if the mayor's son's going to be the future Robin? Because I think that's a thing that's been around since since the first trailer came out and we saw Bruce save the kid. But I've always been like, I don't think so. A, not a Grayson. B, I get what you're saying, but why? Why just not do the Flying Graysons? Because it could still be done. The alphabet still goes on in terms of my points because it's like his mum's still alive. You know, he didn't lose both of his parents like Bruce. So yeah, I would just say no to that kid. Selina, of course, you know, some more crime scene stuff at the beginning. Shots we're very familiar with. Now, we all recognize this shot because it is from that absolutely incredible best Batman movie opener ever. You know, I know there's a lot of debate. Is The Dark Knight opening with Heath Ledger's Joker and all of the Joker goons better than this? I think this as a Batman, you know, specific underline bold Batman opening. Oh my god, you don't envelop the embodiment of Batman better than that opening monologue. And here we see the Good Times grocery store here, so that is a reference in the Easter egg where my cursor is there on screen, which we've already been over in my spoiler review from a while back, to Robert Pattinson's Good Times movie. But here we see some of the concept art behind that, and again, I love the way that James Chinland has put this mostly chronological here, because you see this goon run out the store. Again, this is all in the pre-production, kind of how we're gonna do this. It's not always mega copy and paste, even from that of the concept art, because you know, when you come to do it, sometimes little bits of the set that you saw on the concept art, like prop pieces, might be different, which we'll be getting to later. An example here is that you see that this goon is wearing a sad emoji face instead of that of the drop mask that he was wearing as he ran out of the grocery store. So that's just another example, but again, largely it is the same. It's basically the vibe that you want to get across, and I love it. Gotham in this world, I feel like has been largely translated from that of these concept pieces that we're looking at here, but here you can see a perfect example of that because you see the Good Times grocery store here as it was when it was brought into actual production from that of the concept art. So moving on, we get some plans here of the Gotham streets. Okay, yeah, we see the food center. Okay, so this is where it gets mega detailed, and I feel like a lot of people will appreciate this. All the artists out there, all the people who just really want to do things like this themselves. You can see that of, like, basically the architecture planning behind this block, if you will, and the food store. And here we have the good old goon with the drop head mask. Again, put your theories down in the comments below if you believe that this is more of a scarecrow kind of mask smile, drop head kind of thing, or if you think it's that of a Red Hood gangy kind of jokery thing. But again, I think with Barry Keoghan's Joker and the fact that he was a killer, a serial killer, as Matt Reeves has said, but whom got put away in Arkham before he's even had his Joker crowning moment, which we will get in the future of this Batman, Who knows if he'll be in these movies or not, but canonically, we know he'll be Joker one day kind of thing. A lot of people, before we saw the movie and things like that, got all these details from Matt Reeves, thought as a result that he was the Red Hood gang leader, and in this adaptation he made the drops, but it doesn't seem to be that way anymore. So it could be a Crane thing, a Jonathan Crane thing, but then again, guys, it could just be completely unrelated to either of those things. Not Crane, not Barry Keoghan, Proto-Joker, before he was put away. Just, you know, people making drops in Gotham and just gave it that kind of design. But again, when we went over some of the kind of set stuff or on the streets in the background posters they would put up for drops, there was an Ace Chemicals poster, an official production one. I don't know if it's in this concept art, but you had drops coming off of the Ace Chemicals part with drops going everywhere. You guys might remember that. The absolutely incredible look of Gotham here. Absolutely remarkable. I know, like, some people may be like, all you're looking at is, you know, some skyscrapers and stuff. Wow, big deal. No, this is Gotham, baby. Look at it. Look at it. Amazing. Bruce in drifter mode. You know, the city streets are crowded for the holiday, even with the rain. But this reminds me, even though we mentioned this in a recent video, a lot of people were saying, what about that Superman standing guy for the Halloween costumes? He's right there. You can see it with my cursor. That's him. That's what we got used for in the end. But there's cool little, I feel like, I don't know if you want to count them as Easter eggs, since this is such a Halloween thing in the beginning part of this movie. You know, literally, as Bruce says, the city streets are crowded for the holiday, even with the rain. And you have, like, this guy holding, like, a dummy, and it reminds me of Scarface and the ventriloquist, if you will. And obviously, I don't think that's just the ventriloquist and Scarface going out on Halloween, but you could argue maybe it is. Maybe it's the ventriloquist just going out with his dummy and he's thinking, hey, it's Halloween, I could get away with this, but I'm mainly joking there. But, you know, just subtle Easter eggs, if Easter eggs at all, with little things like that. But let's press on. You get some set photos of what this was meant to look like. I remember covering these very drops. So you see where my cursor is now. That's a drops ad saying stop drops, and it was practically plastered everywhere over a lot of screens. You also have Pete Savage, where my cursor is there, making the press announcement, and obviously this is just all at the beginning of the story. Look at this. This is what I mean by the mood of Gotham. Absolutely breathtaking to behold. So you can see the broke when at the beginning of the movie we have some of those criminals wondering about, is he in the shadows? They think I'm hiding in the shadows, and then that paint can goes into the shadow, and the one of these goons here are just like, could he be in there? Which is obviously the whole point, and you see how that got translated to screen. Oh man, and you know, just obviously this is an actual shot from the movie. Look at it. Very animated series vibes. I like how Reeves, and this is something that's been spoken about since long before the movie came out with the trailers. With Batman the Animated Series, you always had that little red, huey, yellowy kind of glow sometimes come from like the lower parts of the city, and I think Coruscant has sometimes been done that way in Star Wars, and here Matt Reeves has a very heavy glow. There's a few shots, I think, when Jim and Batman are up at the abandoned Wayne construction site where the bat signal is, and various other parts of the movie where you see that hum, that glow of the city, and it just screams Gotham. And just seeing a little bit of the city street go into the background there just gives me that vibe. Here we got J. Like Cargo's Tim Drake from Titans, but one of the train gang members here who obviously go to try and mug this guy or just beat him up before the Batman gets them. And obviously here's the concept art, trying to bring that to life. Batman getting dressed, but I believe Matt Reeves did say that this is actually just originally these shots here that were Bruce putting on his, you know, little grease paint, if you will, as he was about to go out to take down the train gang members, was a part of the Drifter camera test. We never saw that like we did the Batman suit test, camera test, but they actually used the very footage, if I'm not mistaken, of the Drifter, like when they were just, you know, seeing what the Drifter version of Pattinson looked like, just for that of a simple camera test. And I love how they actually used that for the movie when he was going from Drifter mode to Batman mode. Now here we get some similar plans, but just for the train platform. Very meticulous detail, obviously, when you're making a movie. You see that interaction with Batman and the train gang. We get some more shots of Gotham here. Now, this looks very familiar to me because, oh, lo and behold, it is the very cover for the Art of the Batman book. Right here. Now, there's so many things that have already been discussed about this, but I don't think I've ever properly broken down in one of my videos. So, here you can see a very early concept art for Batman himself. And the reason why I say it's very early, well, you know, I say very early in general because this is just concept art stage, right? But they don't know exactly what they want to do with Batman, and the artist, when doing this anyway, will just, you know, go off like the brief desire for what Batman's meant to look like as an early Batman, so he will do that. And what we have here is quite an armored Batman, much longer ears than what we got in the movie. But check out that grapple hook where my cursor is. Absolutely fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the grapple hook that we've got, and I think I ultimately prefer that, but there's something very charming about such a newbie Batman, who looks awesome here, by the way. So awesome. But actually swinging a grapple hook like that to maybe get somewhere. Because that's literally, to be fair, this could just be him having an actual grapple hook like he does in the movie. But for example, you know when Selina jumped off the roof and then Batman like tethered himself and then ran down the side of the building. It could be a situation like that. Or it could actually be him using an actual grapple like we have in real life. You know, a grapple thing, but not like that of a gun that disperses it. So yeah, I love this design. The mood of Gotham, absolutely spectacular. Now, speaking of the mood of Gotham, we have another little mood here with the Batmobile, I believe, down in the corner. The city streets are empty here, most certainly, and obviously this is, I would say, a little bit darker than what we got in the movie, albeit at times, for example, at nighttime, literally. I do believe that the city did kind of look like this. Again, you can see in the background here, that hum I'm talking about, it's a bit more faint here, but you can see the kind of light there glow up from the city. Nowhere near as drastically as it is with what I was saying earlier. But again, love the shots. Here we have some of the interior of the Wayne penthouse. And yeah, there's the table where Alfred was sat working on stuff. Or maybe it was down there actually. But either way, Bruce, that's where he... What did he eat? Like a grape or something like that? And he was like, interesting. But I love this. Very, as Matt Reeves describes it, a decaying manor, right? And it is. Like, it's like Bruce doesn't do too much cleanup in here. It's like Alfred doesn't particularly care, even though he's technically a butler at the same time. I mean, just look how dusty that cushion is there. I mean, the books, everything's gathering dust. And it's probably because Bruce doesn't want really any, you know, cleaners to come in and mess up the place. So that's why everything is almost as his parents left it. To the point of where his parents' room is literally untouched from the day they died. But even everywhere else, everything's gathering dust, and it kind of reminds me of the dust I got on the shelf back there where my half-finished Millennium Falcon is. But yeah, another thing is, I love how Batman actually plays guitar in a movie. That's kind of a subtle thing that you might miss a little bit. But he is actually a Nirvana fan, as we see something in the way come to a close in the beginning portion of the film. It's actually playing in the Batcave. I trust a lot of you gathered that. He actually turns it down when Alfred comes in. So he was literally listening to Something in the Way by Nirvana as he was going over the Riddler stuff. It's just probably something, just like a lot of us, you know, when we draw, when we work on something, might play a track in the background. That's what Bruce does. Official canon, Batman listens to Nirvana as he's doing his shit in the Batcave. But also, as Matt Reeves said as well, there are amps everywhere. And there literally are. You can see an amp here, you can see an amp here with stuff on top of it, there's an amp there, and there's a guitar, and we see that in the movie. So, long story short, I don't know why I'm talking about this for so long. I think it's because I played a guitar, and I just love the fact that Bruce Wayne, and it, you know, it's modern, it's not even modern, who cares? But it's just cool that Robert Pattinson's Bruce, very early Batman, plays a bit of guitar in his penthouse from time to time. And obviously, he's into grunge. And that's awesome. More speakers everywhere. You can just imagine when Bruce is just in the zone, he blasts the heavy crap out of not only... Well, I don't know. Like, not only Nirvana, but God knows what else. And that's very, very, very interesting. Again, this is such good looks at the interior of the Wayne penthouse. It is so true to Wayne Manor. But transporting that aesthetic into the heart of Gotham, like, I really like this. A lot of people ask me, is Wayne Manor going to get restored, or is Wayne Penthouse going to remain a thing? Well, Wayne Penthouse will always be there. I mean, you know, the bomb didn't really blow the whole place up. People ask me, will Wayne Manor be restored from that of when the Riddler burned it down, which is what he did in the prequel novel, and it, you know, stayed canonical to the movie there. But for me, it's like, it is totally a possibility, whilst I'm just, you know, on this tangent here. But it's kind of, I don't know if it would be weird or not. I don't know if that's the right word, but for it to be previously an orphanage that the Waynes donated to, for them Bruce to fix it up and then be like, nah, screw it, still being an orphanage, but I'm now moving in. He's well within his rights to do that, but I don't know if that's just a bit off. I feel like if it gets restored from, because it didn't totally collapse, it got burned down, but like it's still standing, obviously, as you see in the movie, never got bothered to be restored. For that to be restored and not still be an orphanage, I think would, I don't know, what do you think of that? For Bruce to then move in. So as a result, I think that it makes sense for Bruce to stay in Wayne Penthouse during the movies. It's still got the Wayne Manor interior there, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do go back to Wayne Manor. But again, I like that he is in the city. Batman's in the city, quite literally. He lives and sleeps there. He doesn't have to drive from Wayne Manor on the outskirts. He's in the heart of it, as if he looks out of his windows. Hey Gotham, I'm here. I can jump off this building now and glide if I wanted to. There's something I really like with what Matt Reeves has done there. And, you know, obviously the Batcave being directly beneath it. But moving onwards, what else have we got here? We've got some plans for the interior of the penthouse, of course. That gives you a bit more of a vibe of how it looks with, well, a bit of 3D model here, as well as the plans. The Wayne bedroom, I believe. This could be Thomas and Martha Wayne's room. Again, very decaying-like, but also as Matt Reeves went to aspire for with this whole design is this kind of this royalty. Like Bruce truly is, it's kind of like from this royal heritage. He's a prince of Gotham. So it is kind of fitting. Everything about this architecture is like you are from a family of king and queen. You are the prince almost, and thus, even though it's a decaying state, the aesthetic reflects that of a royal kind of. It's like almost being on the interior of Hampton Court Palace or something like that. I have good old Alfred there looking at, this is a cool angle, Alfred working at the penthouse. Some more behind the scenes photos here, some more plans. Alfred again from a good angle. I love the little Wayne kind of crest there. That's a really cool design. Got a really nice aerial shot here. Wow, okay. Gives you a really kind of good scope of how big it is just from like that camera lens, even though it seems to be a little bit not exactly fish-eyed, but you get what I'm saying. Aha, and here it is. There's the guitar. There's the guitar and Bruce's amps and foot pedals. I love that. I love that. He's got some pedals there, so he can. Looks like he's not just a hobbyist with the guitar. It seems like he knows what he's doing. I would love to see what tracks Bruce has put out there. Is he literally just kind of singing something in the way at the top of Wayne Enterprises? More moves, and we got Batman there walking out to the edge of this building. I don't think that's meant to be Wayne Tower because that has like more of these peaks, but you could argue it's the early concept art. But either way, just some more Gotham mood there, if you will. Oh, that's a nice shot. Barely see Batman's ears there, but another nice scope of Gotham. I just love how kind of boggy it is at the same time. Now, of course, some shots within the Batcave. Oh, this is a really nice concept art of the actual interior of the Batcave. You see all the bats on top there. That's absolutely fantastic. I love this. I love this Batcave. I think we could spot Batman going up the steps there slightly. I think we're going to get, I assume, yeah, quite a few more Batcave images now. Now, this is a plan of the actual Batcave, Vengeance, you know, the working title for the movie, Wayne Tower Underground Foundation. And yeah, you get some really detailed shots there. You can see, I guess, yeah, where the elevator comes down and the kind of layout there. And it kind of literally is a cave because you can see all the rock formations, you know, above all the pillar foundations there and the elevator shaft, if you will. A lot of people also have been asking me, and I again, we've spoken about this in previous discussion series videos, but is he going to get a new place to operate out of? I do not believe so, because that was in reference to the flooding that the Riddler did. Well, don't forget that the Riddler's bombs were mostly one side, The flooding came in that area. When Bruce returns back to Wayne Tower, it's kind of like on the other side of Gotham, which will largely be fine. Not fine, but like it won't destroy the Batcave. The Batcave will be back. I'm very confident about that. This version of it, at least. Now here we have that legendary DC Fandom 2020 trailer shot of Bruce taking off his cowl. It's like, you're a part of this too. But here we are. I love this shot of the Batcave. It looks so good. Now, obviously, this is where he's reviewing the footage on the lenses. But just even seeing just the bits and pieces that's lying around. Like, look at all those little books or journals that he's got there. I don't know if they're journals. But, like, there's just so much stuff cluttered around everywhere. And that's very intentional as well. Matt Reeves said, I believe it was kind of like Kurt Cobain had bits and pieces darted around. He wanted Bruce to kind of reflect Kurt in many different ways. So there's bits of stuff being worked on in the Batcave in different aspects and areas. Just stuff kind of laid out all over the place. Not extremely messy, but more... I don't know if the word would be disorganized, but it's just like bits and pieces, as you see in this concept art here. Just littered about the place. And that is something I do love about this Batcave and what I like for a Batcave. Batman, in his formative years, you know, this is year 2, 1 year, 6 months in, I do expect it to look like this. Look, there's a freaking tire on top of a tire on its side. A table over there. Who knows what he's working on over there. Something over here. Something over there. It's just absolutely brilliant. And we get, yeah, so that's to scale. Obviously, the ceiling of the inner part of the Batcave, of the Wayne Terminus part. Bruce looking at the camera, and Bruce looking at the Riddler cipher, with his little freaking green juice or whatever he's drinking there. Something healthy, I imagine. And, look at it. I'm so grateful that I got to see this in person. If you haven't seen that video, by the way, check it out. I went to go see the Batmobile, and I got to see the Batsuit and stuff. But I believe I saw it in the very location they used for when Bruce goes down on his bike at the beginning of the movie, the little ramp down part into the subway, if you will, Wayne Terminus area. And it is as good as it looks. I'm not joking. It looks awesome, and you know that already. So when Alfred comes in, and that is Maroni there, getting taken in as a part of that drug bust, but we all know how that came to be. We have the cathedral part now, I guess, yeah. So we're going to go to multiple images of the cathedral, the part of where Gil Coulson comes barging through in that car. Here's some concept art for that moment, a nice little modeling of that. We've got Batman there. Now again, they did film on location as we know, but they did build that stage, and here we have it, like the actual inside built version of the cathedral. I believe Bruce did have slightly different haircuts in one shot as they had the face on part of the movie. And yeah, just some more images of the cathedral. That's the art that's actually used at that part, as you got the steps of the cathedral as seen in that image. You got those steps, that's where that bit would be there. And then when he wakes up in the GCPD and you see the stretcher there in the background, I remember lots of speculation about this. I remember when everyone was, you know, we were all talking about the stretcher. It's like, did Batman really get knocked out? Are they really? Why didn't they unmask him? And we know that they did eventually try to do that, even though it could be argued that surely they would have done it sooner, maybe. And here's obviously that set, you know, with the room empty. The fact that Batman was just laying down in a GCPD kind of interrogation room is just nuts to me. It's crazy. Now here we can see the makeup for Pete Savage. Now, from what I can tell here, it's very obscure, but that is quite graphic. We barely saw it in the movie. Even when Joker was looking at it, it was quite zoomed in. I'm guessing it was kind of too graphic for the rating that actually, I don't know, it's a 15 in the UK, but in America it wasn't. But either way, we didn't see it with the kind of bitten off rat skin as what you can kind of make out here. Even when they pulled him out, you don't see the face properly. And it was after this very scene when Batman gets that letter in where he goes to Arkham State Hospital, Arkham Asylum, and visits the serial killer Joker that he put away in Batman Year 1 to get some of his expertise, if you will, Hannibal Lecter style, to help profile that of the Riddler. But that scene was cut out, but it would have been, as we know, after this whole scene here. Now here we have that brilliant moment where Bruce wingsuits away, as you can see in these images. Now, in the concept art book here, there's, I believe, extra images. You know, this is still 100% worth picking up. There's over 200 pages, I'm pretty sure. which is great. You know, it's oh man, I'm getting the smell of that. You know that book smell you get? My god, I love it. Random. But here you can tell, it's only a brief glimpse, that's not like the typical wingsuit, like what people go out wingsuiting today do. That seems to be actually more of like a, it's very much more bat creature-like. You can tell from the front-on image, which, again, you can't see on James Chinland's website portfolio here, but you can tell it's a lot more angular. I believe it kind of even has these little Talon-esque bits, like that of, which is kind of on a bat, on its wings, to the point of where it's like almost he's fashioned it like an actual bat wing, where it's not quite the Dark Knight movies, but it will glide that way rather than being that of a newbie kind of fabric wingsuit. Even though I'm a huge fan of that, it makes so much sense, and I get why they chose a wingsuit because of Batman Year 2. But here, obviously, in this concept art, they were looking at, you know, it may be that a bit more angular and creature-like. And again, if you saw the front version of the image, you would know exactly what I mean. It's a bit more, ultimately, creature-like than that of, well, what you see here, an actual wingsuit. But I kind of do prefer, ultimately, even though a lot of you do, you know, kind of think, hey, they could have used a cooler wingsuit. For me, I really like the raw, self-made aspect of it. 1 year, 6 months. 1 year, guys, 6 months, as Matt Reeves said in 2020, I believe. Year 2 still, obviously, 6 months into Year 2. Batman, it makes sense to me that it's an actual wingsuit that he's probably done some wingsuit training for. The bat signal, obviously, some concept art of the abandoned Wayne Tower. So this is not a Wayne Tower, sorry, but like a Wayne project that, you know, was abandoned during construction. So fitting that that's where the bat signal is, obviously. Batman by the bat signal. Batman and Selina, we've seen this shot a billion times. The bat signal with the LED panels in the background, so that gives a lot of you who may not really know much or may not have seen some of the behind the scenes some idea of that's just all LED screens, if you will, but there's panels. These panels just stacked to make, well, just to put on screen your background. It's brilliant. I love, look, there we have it. Look, there it is. Look at all these screens. Imagine having a dead pixel on one of these, even though probably you wouldn't notice on the actual recording. But my god, imagine being the guy responsible for setting that up. I mean, obviously they have guys specifically coming in to set this up, but my god. They use this technology for multiple things now, and it is 100% the future of a lot of cinema, in my opinion. Why use a green screen when you can actually use kind of real images mixed with some, you know, CGI'd in extra buildings of your preference of Gotham. And here we have it again, another, that's what I mean by the city street hue. I love it. It's like I think Nolan managed to achieve this in Batman Begins before he got rid of that Narrows look, if you will. I wish they kept that. I think a lot of us feel that way about Nolan's Gotham. That portion in Batman Begins, it had that kind of boggy aspect of the Narrows that was so Gotham-like. But here, it's kind of everywhere in a way. A bit more scaled down, but I'm in love with it. And here you see some more modeling of the cityscape and what that looks. Okay, that's really cool. I like how he's done that. So it's like from that to then the tower, like where the bat signal would be. We have good old Jimbo arriving to the bat signal. Of course, we have Selina. We all know this shot. Oh, that's a nice shot of Batman by the bat signal. Pattinson just looks so good as Batman. Don't need to say that. The actual bat signal itself, that looks amazing. I love how kind of steampunky it looks. Very rusted at the same time. Very beaten and bashed down. We have a signal now. Absolutely. I love it. Imagine just having that in your room, just like somewhere in the background. I would love that as like a back piece. I mean, probably too big. I mean, maybe in the corner over there, but I wonder how much that would cost to make. Even for the sake of just prop. A lot of money. A lot of money. Some more shots of Gotham. Whereabouts is this? Looks like maybe the city wall line. No, yeah. Is that like holding off the water? I can't tell. I don't think so. Maybe? I'm not sure. Yeah, no, maybe, yeah, it is. I was going to say, because look, next image is where the water is. One of these walls would blow up. There's no van parked near, even though, you know, as we know, the explosives were in vans around the city. Yeah, it makes sense that you see the sea level has risen and Gotham is below it, which is pretty damn awful if you think about it, because, yeah, literally walls are holding off the whole city from being flooded. That could be like a recurring villain thing to do. I'm not even joking. Like, even after they repair this, Joker in the future could just keep blowing this up for the memes. Just keep flooding it and flooding it and flooding it. One of the posters for that we got in the Know What I Know, if you guys remember, on the Rattlada website, one of the final, I think it was the final thing maybe, that we got teased with was the download package of all the Riddler files and Corrupt, Don't Vote, Save Gotham. Selina on the bike. The Iceberg Lounge plans, that's cool. So, okay, the 40 below, but we know it as the 44 below now. So this is quite early on where the club within the club was, the Iceberg Lounge, and Falcone's above it. And you see here, Iceberg, Fish. And you can only imagine when Penguin, now that Falcone's gone, is going to just capitalize more and more, because so early into the stage of everyone, we all know that's the blueprint. Everyone's very early on as to where we're normally familiar with them to be in that of the comic books. You know, you pick up your comic book, oh yeah, there's Oz Cobblepot, you know? Oh, in animation he has an Iceberg Lounge, or in a video game, like proper theatrical. That's all to come, you know, it's all to come. So here we have it very low-key, but now it's Penguin's time to rise, especially with the Penguin series. Tune in, drop out. This is some of the poster artwork that I was talking about that, you know, is on James Chinland's website here. Not all of it, I don't believe, but some of it is posted here of the drops. And I remember these being put up over the set of the Batman when it was filming. Okay, so that's a really interesting aesthetic. So here we have the interior of the Iceberg Lounge. Now, the lighting here is very blue. I wonder why they changed that, actually. Maybe to match up with that of the consistent orangey yellowy hue that the movie had, because here you can tell that they went with these colors probably to a bit more of a bluey iceberg, you know, igloo-y kind of Penguin color scheme, if you will, of that of the inside of the club. And I really like that, by the way. This looks like a Penguin kind of lighting, but they kept it at the kind of color that we had during the movie. Not to say that it won't be like this in the future, but it's largely the same. I remember when we go into that scene, by the way, there's so many people in this club. So many people. Like, way more than what you're seeing here as well. But pressing on, we get some of the setup here. Batman, see, this is the actual color we got in the movie versus that. I actually think I preferred this, but that, I mean, you know, again, with Penguin now being his own boss, that could be, you know, I do expect changes with his design. So, you know, but I don't blame them for going for this color again. It seems to be a consistent tone they've kept throughout the movie. And look at that lighting. Oh, that's so good. You know, lots of people are thinking, oh, well, if Mr. Freeze, again, for argument's sake, is the sequel villain, will the ice logo, you know, of the Batman be blue, if you will, instead of red, like it was in the first movie, Revengeance? Would a color scheme be like this, the kind of blue there? This is when Batman's obviously against the thugs. And I love how Batman's just in the background whilst loads of people like raving and, you know, just partying it up. And yeah, here you see, I love how he keeps putting these comparison images to the way it turned out. And good old Oswald Cobblepot. Ah, absolutely fantastic. Take it easy, sweetheart. Yeah, and you can see Oz likes it very, very luxurious. To be expected, of course. I like the lampshades, kind of reminiscent of an umbrella there. Selina, of course, with a little walk that everyone likes to take the mickey out of. It's definitely very Selina, though. And this is, I believe, the 44 below. The very luxurious club within the club. Very kind of reminiscent, almost, of the actual Iceberg Lounge, if you will, from the Fox Gotham show, now that I come to think of it, that Robin Lord Taylor's Penguin had. Because it's kind of, the 44 below is a bit smaller than that of the club above it, the Iceberg Lounge. So, yeah, it kind of is a bit more reminiscent. If you've seen Gotham, you'll know probably what I mean there. Some more modeling here. And you can see that's what Falcone would look out of. What a sight to have, those little round windows that he has in his office there at Falcone's like part, overlooking the city. The view you would get, absolutely fantastic. Bruce Wayne arriving to that very location. Again, really appreciate, I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're doing a portfolio, may as well do it chronologically. For the movie, you've done the feature that you've featured on your portfolio. So yeah, good old Bruce Wayne. And that's the elevator going up to Falcone's. Plan for the elevator, the riverfront loft, I believe it's called. Makes sense. After all, we kind of do see that location. And yeah, the very location of where Falcone is just chilling and playing pool. That mirror, not mirror, what I'm on about, the window overlooking that, like what we were just talking about right here. This is a bit of the background that they put in front of the window. So like, as you can see there, bang, bang. So that's where Batman came in, was fighting those people, spraying the crap out of him. Again, this is just all awesome because I don't know if like anyone watching this will ever want to recreate their own 3D model, but the fact that this stuff is up there, just like the fact that you can recreate this yourself if you want to. Oh, look at it. I love it. I love these. They kept doing this throughout the movie, these kind of long side shots of the city. Instead of looking at it head on, the camera was like kind of over here, and you see the long scope going down that way. And in this case, it's going down that way. But up here in the corner, this is a shot in the movie, as a lot of people are now aware of, where the Riddler was looking out. You can see this for yourself. That's the Riddler's apartment. And this is very early on in the movie, I believe, yeah, just above the train platform there. You know, you would most likely miss it if you weren't looking for it for the first time. Carrying on, I believe, yeah, we're moving on to Selina's stuff now. So you can see how that was translated. Some of the behind the scenes, the East End, a little nice cat above there. Nice touch. But Selina's apartment above it. I love seeing all this behind the scenes stuff. And this is what I mean right at the beginning of this video, where we were going over just different shots of the apartment that you wouldn't see, or even if it's a similar angle to what you saw in the movie, the lighting is much better. So you can really see how Selina Kyle, this character, if you will, canonically lived. This is what her setup was like. That's her fan. That's the leftover drink cups that she had on the side. Could have been her apartment flatmate, obviously, who ended up unfortunately dying. God damn you, Falcone. But I like this detail as well. These are Selina's cats, and she's taken Polaroids of them to remember, I guess, because she takes in so many strays, who they are, or just maybe just for the sake of you know, even, you know, having photos of them. But one of them is called Zoe. Nice little Easter egg there, because obviously, who plays Catwoman? Zoe Kravitz. Now, I can't make out every single name. Sean, Fuzzy, is that Oliver, Oscar, Humphrey, Tigger, Harry maybe, but one of them's Zoe, so that's a nice one. And that, I believe, might be the only cat, Zoe is the only cat that has a little shot of even Catwoman petting the cat. Every other shot seems to be a close-up of the cat, but Zoe, just random detail here, seems to be the one that is her favorite, and probably maybe even Zoe Kravitz named that one herself. Here we have a shot of Selina with her flatmate. Is this Selina Kyle's bedroom? I believe it is, because you can see the wig there. I just thought maybe it could be the flatmate, but this is literally Selina's room. Now, this is really awesome, because you don't always get a fantastic look at this, but you can see a safe there. You can see all of her gear that she goes out with as Catwoman. You can see a sewing machine as to how she put together her own cat suit, if you will. I love stuff like this. I think some of it may have been featured in the HBO Max behind the scenes stuff. I believe even there's some stuff, obviously, in the Art of the Batman book here. But you can see maybe she even uses that safe to kind of make more complicated, add new locks onto it, and rehearse cracking it and cracking it and cracking it so she can do it very fast when she needs to actually on the job. As Batman says when he encounters Catwoman for the first time, hey, you know, you're pretty good at that, or something like that. There's Drifter Bruce kind of spying on Selina, if you know what I mean. By the way, I love the detailed grapple hooks there in the background. Just some like kind of rock climbing gear, if you will. And there you see it in the background. Another shot of Selina's apartment. Just seeing, I don't know, I feel really nosy. Like, I just want to look out for things. Even though, like, this isn't real, like, this is just a character, but I just like the way that they've made up Selina's place. Like, oh, look, there's Selina's soap. What brand of soap is it? I mean, I'm not really being serious, but I know there are some fans out there who, I mean, might even mold their bloody bedroom now after seeing some of these photos. And fair enough, if you're a big fan of Catwoman, maybe you want to recreate the way her bedroom looks. I don't know. I don't know. Now, this is, I believe, an actual layout of her apartment, like the floor plan of her apartment. Again, quite cool having windows like that in your apartment. That would cost quite a lot of money, I imagine, even though it looks pretty run down. Now, onwards and upwards, we have Selina, some concept art of her on the bike, the actual bike models, if you will, and Batman and Selina on the bike. Ah, we're getting to the Arkham photos now. So this is really interesting, because this is actually how it ended up really looking like in the movie. this is that shot of where Joker, I believe, would have been around here, as you're seeing on the cursor on screen. Now, I don't know if that's meant to be Riddler's cell there. I think he might be a bit further back. But I've always said, like, I wonder if there's any other Rogues Gallery members in there. Now, for the sake of this concept art, they may have just put that person there. And then it looks like there could be another person here in that shadow there, and Joker would somewhere be down here. Again, very, very real to that of the movie shot, because as you can see, security camera there, guy, security officer, bang, there is, you know, in the concept art, what it was supposed to look like. And brilliant. And I love how raw they've made Arkham here. It looks dark and very robust, not very clinical. Do you know what I mean? Yet firmly protected. Like, you're not getting out of those doors. They have like freaking buttons on them like that, like very heavy duty stuff. I feel like they translated it pretty well from that of the concept art. Again, it's very, very high end for the criminally insane, this ward here, like this wing, if you will, for prisoners. Like, that doesn't look like a typical cell, does it? Like these buttons and everything. Another angle here. So, you know, very heavy-duty stuff. I love that aesthetic for this. Like, this, you have to think, be where all the Rogues Gallery end up in each cell. Granted that Joker's there, Riddler's somewhere over here. Who knows who else could be in there. I don't, as I've always mentioned, I don't think loads of Rogues Gallery members are already caught at Batman 1 year, 6 months in. Like, no. It's probably just Joker and Riddler now, as of the end of the movie. But there could be Victor Zsasz or someone in Arkham already. You can't discount something like that, but I wouldn't count on any more. Now, this is the interior of what a cell would look like. I believe they probably did shoot some stuff in the cell as well. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that get shot that we don't see. But this could just be for the sake of production. But guys, up next, here we have the shot of Mr. J in the concept art phase of being in the Arkham cell. Now, obviously, that's not exactly how the Arkham cells look, because if you go back, they have clear windows, as you see. That, you know, even in the concept arts, though, to be fair, he did put the bars over these windows. They obviously didn't opt to do that in the movie. So what you have to remember here is that when you're, like, drawing an Arkham scene, Matt Reeves like, okay, we're going to do this. Okay, so me as a production designer, James Chinland, I'm going to mock this up now. You know, what's this going to look like? When you draw the Joker, you're probably going to draw him in the way that is traditionalist, right? I mean, I can't confirm if Matt Reeves gave any direction as to what he was meant to look like in this scene. I'm willing to bet that he did, and that would have been what his recipe has been all along. And that is the kind of the man who laughs, as we've been over, and as Matt Reeves has extensively been over. And this is a very man who laughs smile. I'm probably putting on screen right now, that smile, like, that is what Barry Keoghan's Joker is meant to be based off of, except that when we saw him in the actual final product, it's a congenital disease. Like, it's kind of like one half of his smile is mainly, you know, stuck up there, like the muscle is stiff there, and the other side is a bit more lax, like, you know, what you would have normally. You can form your own smile if you want to, or you can relax it. One side is normally up there, and the man who laughs, it, you know, has a stuck smile. And here, this is a lot more reminiscent than even the final product we got in the movie is to than that of the man who laughs. Now, in the movie, that's not me saying it's inaccurate. In the movie, it's inspired by the man who laughs, like always having a bit of a stuck smile. Congenital disease is the foundation for that. You know, the skin condition that he has is a part of the congenital disease. And here, obviously, when you're just doing production, concept art, you think, okay, man who laughs, okay, let's do a hideous-looking man who laughs, stuck smile, Joker smile, behind that of a cell, there you go. So that's why I can already imagine some comments saying, oh, this looks so much better, what the hell, like, why doesn't he look that hideous in the movie? Like, I don't, you know, I feel like concept art will always look really cool no matter what, especially when you do that of the Joker. I still really like the design they went for in the movie. We get that side view of him in, you know, now that you can see the movie on HBO Max, you can check this out for yourself. But if you pause the frame, what was actually in the movie and the scene that Matt Reeves kept in, this scene, you can see Barry very, very vaguely. But what they decided to do is show the side of him where his smile is stuck. Again, remember in the deleted scene, mainly one side of his smile is stuck. The other side is a little bit more lax. You can just form it yourself. The whole smile isn't like, you know, the way, you know, the man who laughs is as seen in this. It's just constantly like this, you know, hello. It's not impossible that they might change some things up for the second movie. Not drastically, though. I highly doubt that. And again, this is just more me rambling at this point. I'm willing to bet it is probably the same. It's just in that Arkham ending scene that we did get in the movie, it's just probably that Barry was at the side part of one of these windows, you know, just literally looking outside. The camera goes in like that, and it's the side of his face that is stuck like that. It's not that side. And that's why some people I've read, which is why I discussed this in the first place, have been speculating if it is more like this. Like, because this is clearly a little bit different than that of what we see in a deleted scene, right? I think we can all agree on that. But as a result, people are saying, oh, you know, in the final Arkham scene, it's actually a different makeup design and type. No. I think it is just one side of his face. But I can't rule that out. I can't rule it out. But I don't think there's going to be any dramatic changes from the one they actually decided to film in the deleted scene. Here we have the interview room. This is where Batman would have actually interviewed good old Riddler. So this is the layout, or even Joker, to be honest. You know, same deal here. Just two dummies. Model was just being used for example's sake. I think this is meant to be the manufacturing of the drops. I believe so. Because this could be that bit. Yes, of course. Because Batman was looking in through the top of the window. That's when Selina arrives and he's like, oh, it's got a bit more complicated. Because, you know, oh, Selina's rocked up on a bike now, and this is where they were manufacturing those drops. So that's pretty cool to see the concept stage of that. Obviously, this is where Penguin was doing his deal. Continuing on with some Batmobile stuff there. Oh, looking at the actual construction of the Batmobile here. Look at that. One little random chunk of the side of the car. Look at the framework there. You could just imagine Bruce going through these construction stages himself. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, wow. That's, you know, I doubt the first time they fired it up, but just capturing that image, just like, yeah, let's fire it up, boys. Let's see what it looks like. And there it is. Well, you know, I'm not a massive car enthusiast, but I don't see how anyone can't appreciate this. I know people have different preferences, and people like the more BVS kind of high-techy kind of Batmobile on the floor. Not quite Tumblr, but more BVS. But, like, this is still so Batmobile. This is more akin to that of what was intended for the original Batmobiles of when Batman was created, yet brought into modern day. And it works so bloody well, because that in line with how Bruce made it himself, mwah, couldn't be more spot on. Look at it, look at it, so good. Stop it, I can't, I'm getting chills. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so for those of you who want to make some models with extensive details, center console, center gauges, main driver console, gas release vent, side mirror screen, like look at all these details. This is what the interior looks like. I did try and get some of the interior on my little vloggy video I did of when I saw her in person, but there are multiple Batmobiles made, so I couldn't guarantee that every console looked the way it was meant to in the final movie, depending on what the very car I saw was used for. But here is what it is meant to look like internally. Absolutely fantastic. So, I mean, take this as what it should look like. And here you get a bit more of a better design, you know, actual practical what it looked like for the movie. That's the very lever he pulls there to actually release that turbo for him to fly over. And it's like, I got you! I got you! And then he bursts through the flames. Calling Alfred, absolutely I hope we see a lot more of this kind of stuff in the sequel. Just like some techie, like, calling Alfred. I remember these shots. Matt Reeves released, I believe he released these Batmobile shots a couple of months before the 2020 DC Fandom. So the movie was in production. We hadn't even had the first DC Fandom sizzle reel where they only filmed like 35% of the movie. But we got these shots of the Batmobile and Robert Pattinson in the Bat armor basically standing there, and I think you'll see those. Now this is in neutral lighting, I believe, but you'll see how they're edited. I don't know. Yeah, no, he's not including them, but maybe I'll throw them up on screen. But these are behind the scenes shots of when Matt Reeves posted those shots back in like February, March, maybe 2020. Which is really cool. More concept art of the bikes. I love the ears on that bike. It's subtle but not too cheesy, if you know what I mean. That's nice. Bruce Wayne's car that he drives up to the cathedral with. Absolutely beautiful car. Some action of the Batmobile, of course. The Western kind of Batmobile. I love that little guitar twang as he gets out the Batmobile in this moment. This is inside Wayne Manor, of course, when he's looking at what the Riddler is exposing about Thomas Wayne to give clues to the Batman as to who's the next target. And of course, this is the very scene that opens up in the prequel novel of where Thomas Wayne announces his candidacy for the mayoral run at Wayne Manor's orphanage, if you will. I recommend checking out my breakdown of the whole prequel novel, which is done well. Thank you for all the support on that video, by the way. I think it's got over 100,000 views. So if you want to get more context as to what that very scene is and what Edward's thinking in that scene and everything like that, I've broken that down on the channel before. We've got Bruce in the hospital with good old Alfred there. It's when a doctor asks him if there's any next of kin for Alfred, and he's just like, no, it's just me. So no Alfred daughter in this iteration or anything like that. No relatives. Poor Alfred. Poor Alfred. The Waynes is all he's ever had as well. Some more Gotham. But this is, Riddler's apartment now that we're focusing in on. So this is a little bit different for what actually ended up in the movie, I believe. Because, you can see that's where his little lookout was, where the rifle was. But it actually ended up looking like this, as we know. There's a few different rooms, to be fair, though, so that's where some of his, crazy ramblings of putting all the pieces of the puzzle were put together. But it more ended up about this clue board, the truth about Gotham. We've seen a lot of these images before, but again, I appreciate the different looks. Look at all this random bits and bobs that Riddler just has everywhere. Edward Nashton's just got tinkered all over the place. A cool little model of his apartment, I believe. It's quite a decent apartment, not gonna lie. I know what I must become. We've got these files in that Riddler zip file that I was talking about earlier that we got from Rattalada. Some more detail, actually. So there's the board, but here's some of the stuff in front of the board, which is pretty cool. Rat care? Bloody hell. Look at all this stuff. Look at all this stuff. Look how, dirty all that cleaning stuff is. And oh, good old Edward. What have you been living like, man? I'm just a phone call away. Answer. Ring, 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 ring. Just keeps going, keeps going. A real change. You can see the little bomb lineups on the wall there. Wall of Gotham, if you will. Now we're getting to the lead up of when the Riddler gets arrested. And you can see this is where all the kind of SWAT, if you will, start running up on that street, that part of the trailer. I wonder if he's attached that image. Kind of. But yeah, some really good shots of that. The actual interior of the diner that Riddler was at, where he got his little Riddler cappuccino. And here we have that scene unfold. That reminds me, need to keep drinking this coffee. Some more exterior shots of the diner. A model of the diner, 3D rendered model there. Concept art, I believe, of when it's flooded, which is pretty cool. Is that concept art? I don't think it is. That looks real. It's not concept art. Going crazy. Sometimes concept art is so realistic that my eye can't even tell. Gotham Square Garden, of course. This is where we get into that part of the movie. Well, now I always question the logistics of this. What you have to think about is that Batman... there's multiple detonations that go off, so I don't know if he has enough bombs to do that. If you want to get nitpicky, there's a lot of bombs that went off. Lots of people raise good questions about the size of the glass shards that go down into the crowd is also pretty lethal. Again, just some fun nitpick critiques there that a lot of people ignore or just don't even think about, to be honest. But for the sake of a cool shot like this, sometimes the rule of cool can be applied. But of course, look at that concept art of Batman lighting up the flare. Absolutely gorgeous. Brilliant. And then an aerial shot of that very shot in the movie. And then of course, Batman being the symbol of hope, putting that girl down on the stretcher and, doing that reassuring moment where she, takes her hand and stuff. And then this is where Riddler's going insane because it says on the news, Batman saves hundreds. On top of the garden. Look how flooded Gotham is, God. And then Joker's like, man, don't be sad. You did great. This is catastrophic. Look at that flooding. But it only makes you think of, Joker's like, you did great. And it's like, what is he gonna do to the city? This is a certain score on the board. Okay, Edward Nashton's here. Said person of Rogues Gallery is here. Mr. Freeze is here, but who's got the record? Joker's always going to go for the top of theatricality of what can be pulled off in Gotham. Who knows what's going to happen then. Obviously, we get that shot that's still of Selina and Batman. And we get, you can see the panel technology. So that kind of looks almost, if you blink and crop the top down, like that's actually like the cityscape. Like, but that's the panels. That's just panels, LED panels. More flooding. Look at that, wow. Gotham, aerial shot of the flooding. That's a really nice, I believe, work in progress shot of Gotham with the flooding again. The National Guard are coming in. Penguin. Again, I wonder if we're going to see still the extent of the flooding in the Penguin series, or if a majority would have been cleaned up by then. That's, you know, something to consider. And I think we're back at the beginning now. Wow, okay. And this has been a long video. I didn't realize how much time has flown by. This is almost like a live stream. It's like sometimes a live stream on this channel a couple times a week, which I'm trying to keep up at the minute, and like 2 hours go by. And so that is my commentary on James Chinlan's production design work on his website. I do recommend checking this out for yourself, everyone. You can see these images much larger on screen than the way I've put it. And again, I do recommend following him on Instagram. Check all of these amazing and gorgeous images out for yourself. I recommend picking up this as well for yourself so we can go over it together. Again, please let me know if you think that would be something worth exploring with regards to all of the little bits and pieces that are in this. I can do bonus videos and whatnot if you guys would be interested in seeing that. Also, if you enjoyed this little rambly kind of breakdown and overview commentary, if you will, on some of the production concept art for the Batman. I just realized I'm not even on screen properly. Do let me know by leaving a like on this video and subscribe for everything the Batman trilogy and HBO Max show spin-off updates, news, and reviews and breakdowns, of course. But I think that's more or less everything. Just check out the links for everything we discussed in today's video. Also, places to follow me. If you want to go the extra mile and help kind of fuel the videos on this channel, I've now enabled super thanks on the channel. So there's a little super thanks, super chatty kind of button you can give back to the channel if you want to do so. You do not have to do so, but I appreciate to those who've already sent in a few on previous videos. A massive shout out to you guys. Again, really appreciate the support in any form. Even just a like goes a long way. But that's everything. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. And I'll see you, Bat Family, in the next video. Goodbye.